Here we go. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. So, today we are going to be talking about Instagram, and I'm going to give you the little known secrets to Instagram and some basic online marketing information. So, just to give you an idea, this is definitely going to be a little bit more high level. I'm not going to get into a lot of the nitty gritty stuff just because there are so many different avenues you can go with Instagram. It's nuts, all the things that you can do. So I want to make sure that we make this chewable and worth your while. I don't want to throw so much information at you that you get to your Instagram app and then go, I don't remember anything she just said and how to do any of it. So I want to make sure that I give you stuff you can actually put into practice immediately. At the same time, I'm also not going to go over the real simple basic stuff. I'm going to touch on a couple of things, but for the most part, this is just diving deeper. I wanted this to be meaty, and I want to make sure that your investment is worth it. So that being said, again, we have questions and answers at the end, so we can go through that. So glad you are all here. All right, we're going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. So first of all, I just want you to make sure that you are on mute. I think everybody is. I don't hear any background noises. But this is just, again, in case you need to step away for any reason, I want to keep it from being distracting for everybody else involved. And again, this is being recording. And so anybody else on your team who's going to be watching this, we want to make sure that they get a good experience as well. Also, I would love it if you could close all of your tabs, silence your phones, be really present for this hour. You are investing in your business, which is an awesome thing to do and a fantastic step toward enriching, this entire experience that you've got while being an entrepreneur. You're business owners, and when you take time to do something like this, you really want to dig into it and be there for it. So make sure you're present and you take notes. At the end, I've said this a million times already because I talk a lot, but there's a Q&A session. So feel free to write your questions in the chat box, which you can try to locate now. I'm going to do the same thing and find my chat box so that I can see everything. There we go. So you can go ahead and put any questions you want in there as we go. If you don't want to, try to remember them at the end, just know that I'll get to them at the end. So, if you ask right at that moment, maybe also write something like what slide we were on when that question came to mind, just so that when we come back to it, then we can touch on it again. So, all right. So speaking of the chat box, I would like you to type YasMD into that chat box if any of the following points apply to you. So I want you to type YasMD if you are ready to take your business to a new level. So find that chat box and let me know that yes. All right, so secret confession, I just like seeing YasMD like 16 times. It just makes me so happy. So, yay, thank you everybody. So glad you're here. Tracy, Stephanie, Heather, Joe, Audrey, Linda, I'm so glad you guys are all here, and I am so excited for your participation. All right, I want you to type YasMD if you want to make more sales and build a team using just Instagram. Yes. Good, you're all in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. All right, I want you to type YasMD if you are no longer available to struggle through social media marketing. We want to be pros. We want to be experts in our field. We want to be experts at being able to build our teams and to be able to make sales. All of the yeses. I'm so glad you're here. Last one, here we go. So I want you to type YasMD if you like cheese. I might be talking to the wrong crowd, Heather. I don't even know. I am typing this, or I'm asking you about this because I just recently found out that I can't do dairy. I'm not allowed to have dairy. Can't do it. My entire face like explodes. Thank you. See, Kim, no cheese. But listen, I'm going to live vicariously through everybody who still does because I miss it so much. This has nothing to do with Instagram. I just want to live. That's all I'm doing right now. So I'm so glad some of you still do cheese. And yeah, it doesn't like me either. It doesn't like me either. All right. So just a little bit about me. I am an empowerment advocate, a searcher of light, a lover of color, and I'm the queen of buying Taco Bell with only the spare change I find in my car, or I used to be because I can't have cheese anymore. So there goes Taco Bell too. I also started working out with Heather, and pretty sure she would like not be okay if I submitted that in my food journal, but whatever. I am also a professional branding photographer. Now, when I started, I did a lot of photography for musicians. Oh my gosh, hey, here's Jared. How funny is that? He's in my presentation. So there you go. Briefly. Oh, there he is again. So there you guys go. That's what we were talking about earlier. But I used to work with a lot of up and coming Nashville musicians. And at the time, I didn't realize this is what I was doing, but I was helping them develop brands. And I was helping them to kind of curate who they needed to be in order to reach their target and ideal clients. So this was laying some groundwork for me to be able to roll into what I do now, which is work with female entrepreneurs who want to change the world through what they do. And that is now including all of you, because if you are here doing a business, if you are trying to build anything like this where it benefits other people, and by the way, I am a JP user, not ashamed. I take I take all 3 of the thingy things. I don't know. I'm not a professional like you guys are, but I have to take all 6 of those pills, and it is nutty. So yeah, anyway, that's what I do. I love it. And I love working with you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're wanting to change the world one health person at a time. You are here helping me. So that is awesome. Oh, and it sounds like we got somebody who just unmuted themselves accidentally. If you could remute, I'm trying to find you. Okay. Everybody's muted again. Okay, cool. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So that's what I do, a little bit about me. So needless to say, being a photographer, Instagram is absolutely my best friend because it is a photography platform. But is it only good for, photographers? Absolutely not. Instagram is great for every single business. And the reason for that is because, according to Forbes, Instagram is now the number 2 network that most people spend their time on when it comes to social media. It's second only to Facebook, which makes sense because Facebook just bought out Instagram and they now monopolize that entire corner of the social media world. So Instagram is huge. It is up and coming. I think I just read an article. I was trying to find an update on how many users are on it. I believe we are now at 3 billion users. That's 3 billion people hang out on this social media platform. So this is huge. This is a great avenue to be able to contact and make contacts with people. It is also visual by design, which is a big deal if you've seen, especially on Facebook, that anytime you make a post that has some type of visual content involved with it, it gets far more engagement. It's actually 6.2 times more engaging on average if you add some type of picture. So that's what makes Instagram so powerful, because it is purely a visual platform. Okay. So now, before we get started, we need to go over a couple of things because, again, I'm going to get into some meatier stuff, but that means we have to make some assumptions about a few things. So I'm going to do some kind of high-level overview to keep you sort of caught up as we dive a little bit deeper. So first of all, I need you to think of Instagram now as a business tool. Okay, so it's social media, but we can't look at this anymore like it is for social use. Okay, this is now a business tool for you, or at least for the purposes of this training, that's how you need to see it. And I would like you to see it like that from here on out. But it is a business tool. That means that anything you post needs to be relevant to your business, to your clients, to yourself, whatever it might be. This is no longer for your grandma who, likes to keep up with you on social media. This is no longer for Uncle Arthur who likes seeing pictures of your cats. It doesn't matter anymore. That's no longer what we are focusing on. We are now focusing on what best serves my client, my ideal client, my customer, my future team members, my business. That's how we need to start looking at it. I am also going to use the term leads a lot. I don't know if you know what leads are, but a quick overview. Leads are just people that you are trying to pull in for your business in one way or another. They could be clients, they could be customers, they could be team members, whatever it is. It's a lead. It's somebody that might be good for your business in some form or fashion, but you don't really know what it is yet. You have to kind of figure that out. That's where cool leads start. So cool leads are just any person out in the world that you've made contact with that maybe could become a part of your business in some way. A warm lead is when you're like, oh, okay, I can see that this is definitely somebody who wants to upgrade their health. They're ready for some cool stuff. They don't really know what I do yet, but I need to keep a pulse on them because I'm going to, maybe start offering them things. A hot lead is somebody like this person is down for your business. They are going to join your team. They're going to buy everything. They're going to spend $1 million on you, on your business. That's a hot lead. We all want hot leads because those are great. So I want you to keep that in mind as we keep talking through this. Next, you need to know who your ideal client is. Now, this is honestly a training in and of itself. Like, it is so much. So I'm going to try to break this down really quickly and really easily. But your ideal client is somebody that you need to have in mind. And it's one person, you guys. So that's always the biggest mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make, is they try to reach an entire market. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about one person. This is an ideal client. It is the perfect client for you, for your business, for what you want to do. So the best way to develop that is to think of who already you have come in contact with that is your client, or that is a team member, whatever it is your focus is on, if it's building your team or just getting more sales. You need to think of who is your favorite person. They're the one that is constantly reaching out to you for new products. They're the one that asked you to join the team and they're making all of the sales and you're just killing it on your team because this person is perfect in every way. That is your ideal client. That's your IC. And that's who you always want to talk to. Okay, so whenever you do social media posting, and this will make sense as we keep going through this, but whenever you do social media posting, you don't want to talk to the people that don't have anything to do with Juice Plus. Who cares about them? They're not your ideal client. You want to focus on the client that has already said yes, and everything you post is directed to that person. So that's how you know your ideal client. Now, there are so many ways that you can develop that in your head and figure out who your ideal client is. And you can actually probably Google that and find some really cool free material, to be honest. And maybe I can find some stuff for you too after this training and email that out. But so just kind of have that in your mind so that you understand what we mean as we go through this. The last assumption is that you post quality pictures because this is a photo app. So if you are posting pictures of like dark, weird, like grainy, I don't know, like this is my dog's toy. It's disgusting. It's gross. If I took a picture of this and put it on it, who does that? It's a terrible picture. Nobody wants to see that. It's not a good thing. So it wouldn't matter if I gave you all of these tips and 10 more, they're not going to work if your photos aren't quality. So in this day and age with iPhones, with Droids, with all the different stuff that we have available, there are a lot of ways that you can take good pictures. And it really, really matters because of the way that Instagram's algorithm works. So Team iPhone. Yes, Heather, Team iPhone. She told me she wasn't going to be my friend anymore if I didn't upgrade to the 7 Plus. So, I mean, obviously I upgraded to the 7 Plus because I like Heather. So, all right, so let's move forward. Now that we have those assumptions out of the way, let's actually get into some learning. All right, so the number one question that I always get to start is, how often do I post? Now, here's the thing. That changes from business to business, so there is no way I can actually tell you that. And on top of it, Instagram has an algorithm now that rises quality content-filled posts to the top of news feeds and pushes down posts that don't have any good quality or content. So what that means is you could post 8 times a day and none of your posts are ever going to be seen by anybody who's following you, let alone people who aren't following you. So I would like to change that question to, instead of how often do I post, it needs to become, what do I post? Because on Instagram, quality content is king. That is really what you want to focus on. So I'm going to give you 4 categories today that can jumpstart how to start your, what do I post? So to start, share your story. This is huge, especially with social media platforms, because you have to understand that as far as anybody knows about you, you're just this little avatar, which is, the little icon of your picture, and a few posts. If you don't talk about who you are or what you're involved in or what you care about, people don't get to know you. And the fact is that people do not buy. They don't buy from or join teams of people they don't know, like, and trust. So you have to get people to know, like, and trust you. And the best way to start that is to share your story. So I'm going to give you a few prompts. There's 6 of them. First is, what have you struggled with or are currently struggling with? What are you interested in? What have you overcome that can help others? That one is huge, y'all. Vulnerability is a really, really powerful tool. And if you just get a little bit vulnerable, and I'm not talking about sharing like, any health crises or, something horrible that's happened, like emergency rooms, like you don't have to do that. But something that you've overcome that is a really powerful story. Everybody has something in their lives that they've overcome that can be beneficial to somebody else. People really need that. Where were you before Juice Plus? What has changed in your life since Juice Plus? What are your dreams and goals with the Juice Plus vehicle? That is really huge for team building, you guys, because if you can share how Juice Plus is really helping you, or how it's allowing you to connect and do all these different things that you've always wanted to do in your life, whatever that's allowing you to do, people are going to want to join you in that. So sharing your story is really, really, really powerful. Next, the most important thing, other than sharing your story, is you have to give value. So again, we're not looking at posts anymore as a way to connect with grandma on Instagram. We are now looking at these posts as a way to give value to our ideal clients. So again, whoever that is, whether that's somebody that you're selling to or that's somebody who's joining your team, you want to give them value. And the reason for that is because there's generally a ratio when it comes to asking somebody to either like join your team or buy a product or whatever it is. That's called an ask. You want to give 3 times more than you ask. So that could mean anything. And again, this changes from business to business, even within the same industry. It kind of comes down to what you're going to do. But good examples are, like we're in the health industry here. So a good example is giving away information that would generally help people be healthy. That's going to be, your ideal client's going to eat that up. So if you just give away tips, tricks, thoughts, stuff that you do, maybe tie it in with your story, whatever it is, if there's other people who are trainers like Heather who also use Juice Plus in that way, if you give away all this information where people can try out what you have to offer before they ever have to commit to you, that's going to build a ton of trust. And again, you want people to know, like, and trust you before they're going to ever buy anything from you. So that's a huge thing. In order to also do this, you have to learn what's of value to your ideal client. The best way to do that is to figure out what kind of problems they have and how you can solve them. So, and for free. That's the biggest part. It has to be for free because we all know Juice Plus is going to solve everything. It's going to solve like all of the world's problems, but we have to do things for free first in order to get people to see who we are and to understand what we do. How do we make that happen? Easy. You ask questions. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but on social media, people love giving their opinions. So imagine what happens if you just ask for it, right? So now you're just going to ask, hey, what's out there? What are people struggling with? Checking out, like anybody in my timeline who here has ever had a struggle with this, or who here has had a problem with this, or what are your biggest concerns about X, Y, and Z? People want to give your opinions. I actually just tested this out today just because I was curious. And I heard from people I haven't heard from in forever on my Instagram. I just put out a post right there and I said, hey, what's your biggest pet peeve? And I have people like, they are all telling me everything that just annoys the snot out of them right now. And that's a great way to create engagement, which is our next point. Create engagement. So I was talking a little bit about the algorithm before. So this means that your posts need to have quality content. And the way that Instagram determines that is based on likes and comments. Now, likes and comments, I want to be clear, do not lead to sales. They just lead to likes and comments. So there you can have people who get 500 likes on a post. Big deal. If they're not converting to sales, it doesn't matter. So if you're not getting 500 likes, don't worry about it. What that just does is it helps you to, having the likes and the comments just helps you to raise your posts up through the algorithm, okay? So that's why you want to create engagement. And you can do that by posting about things your ideal client would be interested in, not necessarily things that you are interested in. So I want you to keep that focus in mind because a lot of times we post things, again, Like, I love posting about my dog because I think he's adorable, but not all of my clients care or like dogs or think he's adorable because they're monsters, but whatever, that's up to them. But that does not create engagement. But if I post something that's of value to my ideal client, so for example, my ideal client are people who like to get their pictures taken for their businesses, duh. So if I post something out there that says, hey, I want to know, like, what is your biggest issue with getting your headshot taken? Like, what freaks you out the most about that? I'm going to get so many opinions on that because people just want to share all of their struggles all the time. And that creates a lot of engagement. Sometimes I like to do things saying like, hey, can you spot the issue in this photo? Then people go and look at it and they leave comments, stuff like that. And that helps rise my posts through the algorithm and gets me a lot more engagement. So, last but not least, the other post I need you to do is ask for the sale. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in like just concentrating on everything that we forget to ask for the sale. I actually had this happen with a client of mine. We were doing a strategy session and she was like, MD, I have been so hesitant to post about what I do that I didn't even realize I have friends that need my product and didn't even know I sold it. And when I briefly and barely mentioned it, they were like, I've been wanting to buy this for forever. I could have, like, why didn't you tell me you do this? So you have to ask for the sale as well. You want to give all of this great content. You want to give all of this great value first, but don't forget to ask. So every 3 posts, every other week, you want to offer that, because here's the thing, you guys, the thing to remember is that while we all want to make money, obviously, while we want to have that freedom lifestyle, while we want to be able to live the life that we want based on being able to invest in this business that we're doing, we also want people to benefit from what we have to offer, right? So you guys aren't selling something that's crap. People can really benefit from it. People can benefit from joining your team. So people really need what you have to offer, especially if you've spent your time showing the value that you have in this entire, Juice Plus vehicle. So that's something to keep in mind as you ask for the sale. All right, that's great, MD. Now I know what to post, but I don't have many followers. Who's going to see and read all of these brilliant posts that I've just made? I am so glad you asked that, MD, because I have more information. So, how to add to your Instagram list. I'm going to give you some points, including one that's an awesome tool that is free right now. I am so excited about this. First, you need to follow at least 10 new ideal clients per day. That kind of seems like a lot, and it's because it is. But a lot of social media is a numbers game, because until you start building relationship, you just got to get your numbers in. And then you can start building relationship off of that. So what you want to do is search Instagram for your ideal client who you need to have in your mind, and then follow them. And then you need to start commenting and liking on their stuff. You need to give and benefit them before they're ever going to come and check you out. So the best way to do that is find your ideal client, find posts that they've done that are cool, that you like, that vibe with you, because they're your ideal client. Most likely they'll vibe with you. Leave a bunch of comments and likes. And then on top of that, when they start to comment back and they start to follow you back, which some eventually will, you want to track those, because those are starting to become hot leads. All right. Because there are people who are engaging with you on your social media platform. So you want to be able to track that. Holy cheese curds. Oh, I'm so sad. MD, I'm overwhelmed. How do I do all of this? So glad you asked that question, because I have the greatest tool in the world. It is absolutely free. It is called Websta. Don't do it now. Like, just in case I'm seeing some of you, don't click off of this training and go do this. You can download it afterwards. But it is websta.me. It is absolutely free. And what I'm going to do is show you some of the cool ways that you can figure out who your ideal client is on Instagram, how to comment and like efficiently, and then how to track your hot leads. So just in case you were getting overwhelmed, I have a tool. So this is what it looks like. Here's my platform from like a few weeks ago. I have a really cute little grid. Look at how adorable I am. what I really want you to focus on though, let me see if I can get my annotation to show up. There it is. Okay, so what I really want you to focus on though is this right here, this custom feeds. It is super awesome. Let me click back over. Oh, I don't like technology. There it goes. Oh, and then now the annotation's just sitting there. Why does it do that? That's silliness. But custom feeds is where you want to go to. You create a custom feed. You can create up to 3 custom feeds with 20 accounts. They're on Instagram, they're called accounts, but it's 20 people in each feed. Now, the reason why this is really important is because here, so I have a lot of European leads. I am heading over to Paris in about 4 weeks, I think. And then I'm going back into London in December. All of these are entrepreneurs who I either have already photographed over there or are people who are connected to people I've already photographed over there. And they have been seeing some stuff, commenting on my stuff. They're people that I've been tracking, right? So these are my European hot leads. So I created a list full of my European hot leads. And what that did in Websta is, again, remember that algorithm that pushes down all of, the non-quality posts. And so here's the thing, is that for my business, I'm supposed to help people get better at posting on Instagram with better pictures, with better training, whatever it is. So my ideal client probably doesn't have the best posts. So most likely my ideal client, their posts are being shoved down that algorithm so that even I can't see it, even though I'm trying to find them and I'm trying to, to keep up with them and to keep investing in them. So that poses a huge problem for me because I'm not going to remember every single lead and then have to click over to their account every single day and like their posts and create engagement and keep them going and keep them hot. So what Websta does is it puts them in chronological order and only your list. So I have this hot leads list for my European clients. And this is putting them all into chronological order so that I can see every single one. And then on top of that, it allows me to just go through and go click, 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 click. And now I am liking every single post in chronological order from all of the people that I personally care about because I want to develop, I'm trying to develop them into clients, all right? Same thing, you can do all of your commenting, and this is all on your computer. So if you've been really sick of having to type out a bunch of stuff on Instagram, you can do this all on your computer, which makes it so much easier. You can see where you last left off, like I left off down here with Kirsty Carden and her super hot husband, John. Sorry, he's really foxy. And you can tell that I last clicked right there. And then I have all of these left to go. And I can see where I did already like one, probably on my phone, just because it stood out. It's a great picture. It stood out to me. It probably went through the algorithm and came up on my phone. But the rest of these didn't. And so now I can go through and do this, which is super awesome. All right. But how do I find leads, MD? I'm so glad you asked that because I know you want to put all of these hot leads into your list, but now you got to find them. This is where hashtags come into play. So if you don't know what a hashtag is, it is basically a filing system on social media. So anytime somebody hashtags something, hashtag Juice Plus, if you click on Juice Plus, it is going to show you all of the posts that have to do or that have been tagged with that hashtag, as opposed to looking at it in your feed. So these are people that maybe you don't even follow or don't follow you. You're going to be able to see them if you search for hashtags. So that's why people use them. That's why they're beneficial. It's like a giant filing system. It's really awesome. So first of all, they increase your lead network. That's one of the reasons why they are super important because again, they reach out to people that don't already follow you. So if somebody were to click on any of your hashtags, it's going to pop you up into their feed or into that hashtag feed, into that filing system, so that they actually get to see you when they didn't even know you existed 2 seconds ago. So that's why they're super important. They also reach people who don't follow you. So that's really big. And then last but not least, they are good for connecting you with users that hold similar interests. So this is really beneficial for business because generally your ideal client is going to be somebody who has a lot of similar interests as you do. You can find ways to connect with people. You can find ways to build your story. You can find ways to create that rapport. all through using hashtags, which is big for your selling tools. So now here's the thing though. The key to hashtags is that you need to use tags that your ideal client searches. So this is something that I recently was talking with with a musician last night actually about this, because it was blowing their mind a little bit to understand that if they're trying to pitch to a record label, for example, they need to use hashtags that the record label, I don't know, headhunter, I don't know what they're called, I'm not in the industry, would be searching on Instagram, right? What they actually need to do is a little bit more nuanced than that, but they need to use hashtags that are going to be used by the people they want to reach. So for example, just within your industry, you would not necessarily use like, hey, healthy diet as a hashtag, because most likely your ideal client doesn't have a healthy diet yet. Like they still have the problems. So instead, you want to hashtag things that matter to them, like maybe like leaky gut, or I don't know. You guys can type in thoughts if you guys each have the thoughts on that can help each other. But it's what you're going to be wanting to use hashtags that your ideal client is going to have problems with. Does that make sense? So it's the same thing with skincare, for example. That's probably a really easy one to explain. But with skincare, people will post up like, oh, glowing skin, or loving my skin. Well, the person who wants the skincare doesn't love their skin, doesn't have glowing skin. So they're not searching for that. They're searching for acne breakouts. They're searching for, like skin rash. That's what they're searching for. So you want to make sure that you also use tags that have to do with that. All right. That's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people do, is that they just use hashtags that have to do with their industry. And that means they're not reaching anybody outside of it. So again, your client probably doesn't even know you exist and needs to see you. So you have to infiltrate into their social media to make that happen. So the next thing to keep in mind is that you want to use hashtags that are popular, but are not that. I love cheese. Heather, that's just hurtful. You want to use hashtags that are popular, but not that popular or hurtful. And the reason for that is because just like with the algorithm, in the filing system of hashtags, if it has like millions of hits on it, then your post is going to go from up here to in 2 seconds really quickly, and nobody's ever going to see it because there's too many people using it. One of my favorite hashtags to use when I go hiking is opt outside. It's an REI hashtag. It became really popular like 2 Thanksgivings ago, something like that. I love using that hashtag. It is worthless to me now. It does not get me any new engagement, any new likes, because it is so used that people don't even see it anymore. So now I have to find like different kinds of hiking hashtags that have fewer users, but still enough that I might be hitting on people that, hitting on people. What am I dating on Instagram? What's going on? That I might be hitting people who, that's even worse. I need to come up with a new word. I need to find the hashtags that are frequently used so that my ideal client might stumble upon them, but not so frequently used that my post gets buried. So that's something to keep in mind. And then last but not least, this is something that's a little personal for me. People do this in different ways, but I like to keep hashtags to the comments. And the reason why is because I run it like a business and I don't need people to think I'm being spammy, right? So a lot of times when people throw all the hashtags, it just kind of looks a little bit, it's like social media etiquette at this point. It just looks a little weird. So you want to keep it to the comments. But the trick to that is that when you post it in the comments, you need to post it immediately. So you have up to 30 hashtags that you can use. You can't use more than that. I suggest as you're starting out, you use all 30. Might as well. It's available to you. What I generally do is do 10 hashtags that are consistent and constant. They are what I do. So I'm a branding photographer. I hashtag branding photographer. I'm a photographer in Nashville. So I hashtag Nashville photographer. I keep doing this. I don't know. I'm sorry, you guys. But so I want to do like 10 hashtags that describe who I am. So that if people are like, oh, I'm looking for a branding photographer, they can just click on that and find me. I then want to do 10 hashtags that my ideal client searches, right? Which we already talked about. Then I do 10 hashtags that are relevant to the picture itself. So sometimes I take a picture like drinking a glass of wine. And so I'll hashtag, Wine Wednesday or Wine Down Wednesday or something like that. Something that's a little more specific and relevant to the actual shot. Again, it just kind of brings in more likes. It brings in more engagement. It may not be my ideal client, but it still helps me with the algorithm. So that's usually how I do that. And then the key to that for me is that I keep all of my consistent hashtags in a note on my phone. And then I copy and paste it before I even start a post. I go over to my post, get it all set up, get it ready to go, hit send, and then I immediately click on comment, paste it into the comments, and let it go. You want to do it right away. And again, the reason for that is because it's just like you have to get into that algorithm. You have to get people seeing your post immediately, or you're going to fall to the bottom. So that's what I'd like to do. It's sort of, like I said, it's more social media etiquette than anything. But anyway, so just keep that in mind. All right. So how can I use hashtags with Websta? So glad you asked that, because I have that information too. So here's the thing. I talked about searching for hashtags that your ideal client uses. Now that would be a really arduous process if you were clicking on each person's account, going through, people put it in the comments, so you have to go through the comments. If they have 200 comments, now you have to go up through all, it's just a mess. Like, it's so hard to do that. But on Websta, you can go to this little thing called Analytics. It's a nice little tab right there. You click on it. This, for example, by the way, this is Lynn Taggart. She's one of my ideal clients. She's got a decent amount of followers. She's somebody that I just searched again on Websta. She came up because she's connected to a lot of people I'm already connected to. So that made it work for me. She's a coach. She's an entrepreneur. She's somebody that I would normally photograph. So that's why I have her up. So then I go to her analytics to see what she has, and down a little bit of the ways, it'll show the top 20 most, or the top hashtags used in the 20 most recent posts that gained the most likes and comments. So that's huge. It distills down from her 20 most recent posts, out of those, the most popular posts, and shows me the most popular hashtags. So half the work's done for me. I now know that if I want to reach Lynn or someone like Lynn, I just use a couple of these, and for example, I use B School. I think actually that's the only one I use out of hers, but B School was huge for me. It shows you in a pie chart. If you're a more visual person, it just gives them out right to you. It's amazing. And like everything, keep in mind that these will consistently update, because as more data flows in, they change. So you want to kind of check back on stuff like that. But this can give you a really good start on knowing which hashtags to use. And then I just did the annotate again, and then it won't let me. There we go. All right. So now that you understand a little bit more about hashtags and how to pull in other people, the one thing that you really have to remember is that relationship is queen. You have to pay attention to who is liking and commenting on your posts, because people will stop commenting if you don't give the love back. So you have to give more if you want to receive more. So always keep that in mind. With every marketing tip or trick, you really need to put the focus on the relationship and how to build that. It is just like building friends out in the real world. So again, people do not buy or join a team if they don't know, like, and trust you. So make sure that out of all of this, while I've given you all these great tips and all these interesting ways of upgrading your Instagram usage, you still have to build relationship. This is not a mind game. It's actually connecting with real people. So always keep that in mind. Speaking of connecting, make sure that we connect. My Instagram handle is MD Black, super easy. So hop on there if you want to see my stuff. And then I would love to connect and help you build engagement by commenting on yours. So definitely add me so that I can start seeing your posts and kind of help boost that up with you. That would be awesome. And that now leads us to the Q&A time. So I have let's see, couple of questions I saw. Okay, Kimberly, what is a good way to ask for the sale on Instagram? Examples. Okay, yeah. So again, it's industry specific, but for you guys, I mean, asking for the sale would be something like, hey, I have this really cool offer that corporate's letting me put out there. Just want everybody to know, contact me for details. That's asking for a sale, right? You just outright said that you that you have, that you sell it, that you want to get it out there, you know, so that's kind of a thing that's asking for the sale. It doesn't mean you have to be a hard seller. It doesn't mean you have to be, but you have to offer, you know, it's just making an offer. If you're trying to build your team, it's the same way. It's saying something like, hey, I just paid off this credit card debt with my side hustle. Want to know how? Like, I have an opportunity for you. That's asking for the sale. You know, you just told somebody that you had this really cool opportunity that you want to share, and you want them to join your team so that they can have that kind of opportunity too. So it's those types of things that I would probably post more. You can keep it light, you can keep it easy, you can keep it relationship building. But the thing that happens a lot of times in direct sales like this is that people get afraid to ask. And so I just want to make sure that you always do, because you're not going to make money if you don't ask for money. So remind me to ask a question about this. Tracy, I'm reminding you, but I don't know what it was about. Audrey, is it best to have a private or public profile? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't even mention this. That is huge. I'm so glad you asked. You are going to get nowhere if it's private. You have to have a public profile. Going back to the idea of looking at your Instagram as a business tool now, this is no longer personal. You know, if you want to use this for your business, it's now business. So you need to make it public. If that means that you're uncomfortable about, like, you know, maybe pictures of your kids being online, that kind of stuff, then don't post your kids anymore. You know, like, if you're going to use this as a tool, then that's what you want to do. You have to have it public, because hashtags don't work. People, if they can't see you, they're less likely to follow you. I don't follow anybody who's private, by the way, unless I know them personally. Yeah, because if I can't see their stuff, if I don't know what I'm about to get into, why am I going to even waste my time on that? Because I have other clients I need to build with. So, and I work with people who use it as a business tool, by the way. Like, again, private people, like I have personal friends who privatize theirs, and of course I follow them. I'm not a total monster. But when it comes to business, you want to make sure that it's public if you really want to use this tool effectively. Should you share the post from Instagram directly to Facebook or no? That's a great question. So I am going to go with like my own personal thoughts on this, and I don't think you should. And the reason for that is because different social media platforms operate differently and different people use them. So the kinds of people that spend most of their time on Facebook don't spend their time on Instagram. They don't cross-pollinate very much. Business people do. So we are constantly jumping from one platform to another because we're trying to reach maximum people, but keeping in mind that your ideal client probably doesn't. They maybe hang out on Facebook all day, or maybe they just do Instagram all day. And that's like, people rarely cross and pay that much attention. So I like to keep my posts separate and a little bit different. Sometimes I post the same post, but I do it individually. I post one on Instagram, and then I go over to Facebook and I copy and paste and write a new post and post it again on Facebook. And the reason for why I do that is because it looks more native to the timeline of whatever social media platform you're working in. A lot of times people will gloss over as soon as they see posted from Instagram and hashtags, because I'm going to say this and it's going to be so rude, but it kind of comes across as a little lazy. Like you're just out there you're not spending time in the platform. You're not hanging out. And if relationship building is the point, you want to look like you hang out. And so that's why I suggest doing that. That's generally the school of thought on it, is just keeping it native to each one. So when you said hashtags and comments, that means don't put them in the initial post. Yes, Stephanie, that's correct. And that's like, it's a style thing, to be honest. It just tends to look a little bit spammy if it's so clearly visible. Anytime you go and look at people who do that, you'll see, like, it just looks like I'm trying to sell somebody, you know? And while I am, like, I don't want them to think I am, because I want to build relationships. So that's why, and it's a style thing. You'll see people do it all over the place across the board. It doesn't matter as far as how Instagram works, but it's a style idea. And it's something that I practice, that I found effective. And I've also found effective with my clients. So that's why I suggest that. Can you please go over, oops, oh no. I just really zoomed up. All right, good. Thankfully you guys weren't that chatty while I was going on. Can you please go over how to do the hashtags in the post and comment again? It went by quick. Yes, Heidi, I can do that really quick. And then again, you're gonna get the replay. So if you wanna go through it again, you totally can. But what I do, or I'll just show you really quick on my phone. So what I do is, you have Instagram up, right? And so I have a post, right? I'm going to go next to it, next. Okay, I have the caption that I write right in there, blah, blah, blah. I hit okay, and then I get ready to share it. As soon as I share it, what will happen, I'm not going to share that, but what will happen is it'll pop up in my feed, and then I immediately go to the comments, and in the comments, I copy and paste. Oh, that's not visible. There we go. I copy and paste the hashtags right there in the comments. And if you guys want to see this too, you can see it, like head on over to my Instagram, not right now after the training, but head on over to my Instagram and you can see where I do that. And I just put it in like a notes section on my phone. And I periodically change out. Again, I do a lot of hashtag research. I'm just trying to find the ones that are most effective for me. So I'll constantly be changing them out and moving them around, but I always have them copied and pasted so that I can immediately paste it into the comments, because you want to do that right away. Is it best to rotate a variety of posts, i.e. family, kids, business experiences? Yes. So the other thing that's really important about Instagram is it's called your grid. So your Instagram grid, and mine is a little bit off right now just because I put up a post this morning and I have to do 2 more posts, but your grid is your block of 3 across your photos. And what matters about that is when somebody goes and clicks on your profile, this is their first impression of you. So they might see a post and then they're going to be like, oh, what's this chick about? But most likely they're going to follow you or look at your stuff because you've commented on them, right? Because if you're doing it right, can you see your grid, Heather? Like if you're doing it right, there it is. There I can see it. Yes, Heather has a really strong grid. Everybody can go look at hers. Hers is really strong. But if you did it right, then you have been engaging with your ideal client, and then they're going to be like, oh, I'm so curious about this person. Click. And then that's the first thing they see are those first 9. All right. So your first 9 pictures are always going to be the most important, which also means you just have to constantly keep really good material there because you never know when somebody's going to click on you. That being said, you want to make sure that each photo separates from another one. So for example, you can see in mine, and again, you can go to it after this training and really take a look at it. But recently I had a lot of green space photos. So I was like, I have to break those up. So then I would break them up with photos that had like white or blue in it, just to help kind of break it up. And that's just doing something visually. You want to do the same thing with, if you have maybe like three photos of your kids, maybe break it up a little bit, and keep it kind of visually appealing. Same thing with family, business, whatever. So then as far as content goes and those subjects, it's the same thing. You want to keep your content fresh. You also because you're going to be posting so much, maybe you sit down and you write like 3 posts about kids. Space that out, like don't post them all in the next hour. Like post 1, save the other 2 for later down the road, and then post maybe 1 about your business, and then maybe post 1 about your family, and then post 1 about your kids again, So kind of help shake that up. It'll keep you from going through social media fatigue, which is something that happens pretty frequently. Do you still use hashtags in Facebook? I mean, you can. It's Twitter and Instagram that's mostly hashtags, but people use it. It's a good way to search it. I found it most effective if you have a Facebook group and you do like features every day where you post like, this is, I don't know, Tips Tuesday or Tuesday Tips or something like that. People will hashtag it so that people can go through and find it easily again. But otherwise, I don't particularly use hashtags unless I'm being ironic or just a jerk. So I'll hashtag things that have nothing to do with anything real. Let's see. How do I know which hashtags I'm using are working? Good question, Tracy. So I wish this were like a really easy way to tell, but it's just going to be trial and error. But the best tool, again, is using Webstuff, because you can go into your own analytics and it will show you with your 20 most recent posts which hashtags were in the most popular posts. So that's a great place to start. The thing about hashtags is that does change frequently. Like I said, like with the REI hashtag opt.side, I can't use it anymore. It's no longer effective for me. I mean, I can if I still want to be one of the cool hipsters that uses it, but it doesn't do anything for my business. So I like to, free up that spot for a hashtag that actually does do something for my business. So, so that's, it's a lot of hit or miss. you're going to see, like, if you have, again, you have the 30 hashtag, Webster will probably tell you more individual stuff, but sometimes I just trial and error. Like, I'll just change out a hashtag and just put in a new one and go, oh, I just bumped up my engagement. I'm not going to use that other hashtag ever again. Now I'm using this new one, so it's a lot of this is just market research for your own and to see what's working and what's not for you, if that makes sense. Planning posts out in advance helps you create that appealing visual, plus having hashtags ready to copy and paste. Yes, Heather, thank you. That's exactly it. I definitely suggest planning out posts in advance. I had 6 that I think I had planned recently for this whole week. And again, like, I just batched it. I started at the beginning of the week and picked out the photos. I had, like I said, I had all these green photos that I wanted to start using because they're really visually appealing. But then I needed to break them up with white photos. And so I went through and found some shots that I liked that I've done in previous photo shoots and pulled those out. And then I wrote content about each one to get it ready to go. And then I've been slowly releasing it over the past week. Is it wise to tag a pic? Yes, it absolutely is, for that reason, because it will also get the notice of whatever you're tagging. So for example, like Vitamix, that's great. That's a popular company. If you tag them in the picture, they are probably going to go look at it and then they're going to like it. If they like it, that ups your engagement because they have a high engagement profile that is now engaging with your profile, if that makes sense. So that's a part of how the algorithm works as well. I tag REI in all of my hiking photos. I tag Canon camera, anytime I have a photo with my own camera in it. So those are all ways to help kind of boost you up to get you visible and seen. So yes, that's a really, really great tip. Good one to use. Should we or should we not tag Juice Plus? Now, that is a great question, and I might acquiesce to Heather for that one a little bit, because I know that some people who do this kind of marketing and sales get a little nervous because about talking about exactly what they do. It's up to you. I don't necessarily see a problem with it. I would prefer if I knew what people were doing. If you find that it's better to create relationship first before letting somebody know that you sell Juice Plus, then maybe don't tag it. It's totally up to you. But keeping in mind that, like, if you did something like hashtag Juice Plus, it's just going to be people searching who already know it exists. So if your ideal client is somebody who maybe doesn't know it exists, they wouldn't be looking at that tagging anyway. So keep that in mind too. You can put it in there. You cannot. That might be a good team meeting for y'all. I don't know. All right. Any other questions? These are all great questions, everybody. If you have any other ones, I guess from the perspective of JP, liking the post and upping engagement on specific, not every post. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. If Juice Plus, I don't know if they do good engagement. Have you guys found that corporate likes posts where you tag them? If you do, definitely. Sorry, I keep looking off because I'm waiting for Heather to like nod her head or not nod her head, and she's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I can talk out loud.
Yeah, go ahead.
Garden is really good with engaging with our social media posts. As far as like tagging the picture with Juice Plus, that's going to take people just to like the general Juice Plus website. It's not going to lead them to our individual websites. So I don't know how I feel about that, but hashtagging Juice Plus is fine. Hashtagging Tower Garden, I always get liked or commented on by Tower Garden official.
Awesome. Oh, that's fantastic. So yeah, so there you go. That's what you should do. That's perfect. Any other questions? I noticed on Instagram, some people put their Juice Plus website in the website. Yeah, so Monica, that's actually a really great point. So it's totally up to you on how you guys want to do that. You definitely want to have a call to action, right? So you want to have posts that have call to actions where you're either like, hey, like this post, comment on this post, or click the link in my bio, because you want to get somebody to something, right? The whole point of making a post is that you want it to actually lead to a sale. So for me, again, I don't know how easy it is to see this, but for me, I have in my profile, mine's a link tree, which is a whole nother training tool, but I might email that to you guys later. But on Linktree, it allows me to put multiple links. So it pops up. Okay, so it pops up and I have like 3 links because I have 3 different things that I like people to get in contact with me about. And then so I always go link in bio and they can go up there and do that. So if you are, again, wanting to sell the product, then definitely put your Juice Plus website in there. Don't do like the general website, like what Heather was talking about, because obviously that leads to nothing and goes nowhere. So you want to do whatever is going to lead to a sale and use whatever link will do that. Yeah, so that's a good idea. What about Insta stories? So Insta stories are a way for you to get more personal. I love Insta stories. I star in Heather's, like Heather loves hers. I star in Heather's every Tuesday and Thursday, so look for me there. But yeah, I love Insta stories. And the reason for them is because it allows you to get personal. Because again, you're trying to build relationships with people, right? So it allows you to get a lot more personal and not so curated. So Insta stories are where I throw up selfies, or where I put up my sweaty gym selfies, because that's still cool. Like I want people to know I'm a real human being and not always just like smiling with my camera in the forest. You know, like I want people to know I'm a real person, but I don't want to mess up my grid. So that's what a good Insta story does, is it helps to create engagement. It allows you to talk to people. You can, I mean, it's so, yes, Audrey, I love Insta stories. I think they're super fun. So I highly suggest using them. They're really effective. Again, you can hashtag, sorry about that. You can hashtag, and you can like location geotag as well in Insta stories, which I do suggest doing. Tracy also asked about links and comments. Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you, Heather. Yeah, Instagram doesn't give you clickable links. Wow, say that 3 times fast. Clickable links. They are jerks about that. I don't know why. It drives me insane. You can only have one link in your profile, and that's it. It's the only thing that's clickable. And so I'll see people putting that in their, you know, I'm gonna put the link in the comments or whatever. And then I'm like, well, that's worthless, because you can't copy and paste a comment either. I can't copy and paste a link. And so I can't click on, I'm done. I gave up, you know, like that happens to me every single time. I am so lazy. People are lazy. They are not going to like look at a link, write it down, type it in. Then nobody's going to do that. So that's why it's really important to have your main link, whatever you really want to drive people to, and then drive people to that. Another good tool for that, by the way, would be Bitly. Bitly, you can do shorter links with. It's a free tool. So you can go to Bitly, bitly.com, Google Bitly. I don't actually use it, but it's a really great tool. I see a lot of people using that. And so it's just BIT, there you go. Thank you, Heather. bit.ly. And then you can create your own link to something. So then you can make it like bit.ly.jp, whatever. Something like super short, super easy, so that people can just immediately type it in. I've seen people do that. Oh my gosh, so many good questions. What shouldn't go in our profile blurb? Meredith, that's an awesome question. So what you want to do in your profile, you have a limited amount of space to talk about this. So what you really want to do is talk about what you do and however capacity you want to do that. And that means, like, again, sometimes people don't want to say that they do direct sales. Sometimes they just want to be like, I live a free lifestyle, or I'm a health nut, or, whatever. Just something, it can be as direct as saying I'm a JP consultant, or as indirect as saying, that you love living a healthy lifestyle and helping other people do that too. So you want to talk about what you do in some form or fashion. You want to make sure you have your name somewhere in there. A lot of times people weirdly don't do that. I'm not sure where that started, but you definitely want to have your name in there, because again, you want to be personal. You want to tell a little bit about yourself in a way that can create conversation. So I put my empowerment advocate, searcher of light, lover of color, international branding photographer in Nashville, Tennessee, so that people knew all the things that they absolutely need to know, that they know I'm international, they know I'm in Nashville, they know what my name is, they know what I do, and then they have a little bit of a personal thing about me as well. So that's what I would suggest. I think I need some basic training in Instagram. Heather, help me. Yes, Heather can do a lot of good basic stuff. Her Insta is awesome. So I do highly suggest talking further about it and getting into some of the more starter stuff, especially if you haven't developed an Instagram yet. Going through the starter stuff is a really great idea, and Heather will nail every bit of that because her Instagram is on point. What about direct message to an account you follow? Is it like Messenger? Yes, it's exactly like Messenger. And a lot of people use that. It's a good sales tool, by the way. I actually don't do that just because I like people coming to me. And I can afford to do that with my business. But I know a lot of people who do messaging and start conversations. And I think it's a great way to do it. It's a great way to connect to people. It's sometimes you just message somebody and say, oh my gosh, I really liked your story or your Insta story, or I really, appreciate this post that you did. It really resonated with me. It's a good way to connect with people on a more personal level because it's not, out there in front of everyone. So it's a great, especially when people are talking about their health, that can be kind of a personal thing. So if you're going to be talking with people, switching it over, taking it off the comments and switching it over to the direct messaging is a good way to continue to incorporate, your pitch, but in an intimate way that's not so out there and in everybody else's face, if that makes sense. I just loaded Insta today, so I'll be doing a lot of stalking. Yeah, awesome, Heidi. Stalk everybody. Do it. That's awesome. Okay. We are now at the hour mark. I want to respect your time. I am still available for questions. Please keep going with questions, but just letting everybody know that we are a little bit over time and I don't want to keep everyone. But if you have any more questions, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do it here. You also have access to me on email. And I'm going to send out the replay of this so that you can watch it again and if you need to pick up on more stuff, whatever you need to do with that. And then I will also be available. I'm going to give 48 hours to ask me any questions over email that have to do with Instagram. So feel free to pop on in there. If you come up with something, if you just wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh my gosh, I just had this dream about this massive question I wish I would have asked, you can ask me. So it's totally fine. But I'm going to give 48 hours for that just because I get busy with other things. So you have that window. Otherwise, I don't see any new questions. So I want to thank you all so much for being here, for investing in your business, for taking the time to do this. I appreciate you so much and am looking forward. Seriously, follow me on Instagram. I will follow you back and then we can start seeing you grow from there. So thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. We will talk soon. See you on Instagram.